Britain is a very wealthy country. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the Tories have deliberately hyped up this particular economic crisis in order to carry out the unfinished business of Thatcherism. They're engaged in an ideological attack on the state. This has been a very convenient pretext for them to launch that attack. If you look at the vast amounts of money that are being put aside for the new Trident development, then straight away, by stopping the Trident development, there could be a huge saving. But it goes deeper than that. What we have in this country are a few thousand multi-billionaires and banks who have already brought the country to the brink of ruin. And the problem is those banks are not in any way, shape or form accountable to the ordinary people. Now, it's true. A couple of years ago, a Labour government came in and bailed out those banks that otherwise would have gone bankrupt. But do you and I have any control over the day-to-day workings of those banks, over whether they lend capital to hard-pressed small businesses, over whether they give mortgages to people who are now being told that perhaps they won't ever be able to afford a mortgage? What we need is to have proper accountability, not only over those banks that have been rescued by the state in order to be fattened up to be sold off again, but we need accountability that comes from public ownership of all the banks and, for that matter, the big corporations which dominate this economy. In some sectors of industry, nearly half of production goes to waste. You have huge overcapacity with firms not able to invest productively. In order to make money, they instead speculate on the stock exchange with bits of paper money, bringing our economy to the verge of ruin. So we say that what there needs to be is public ownership of the commanding heights of the economy. What are those commanding heights? The big companies, the household names and the banks, which together really hold this country and the people of this country in an economic vice. Let's loosen that vice. Let's get rid of the chains that bind us to this system. And let's have a system, a very reasonable system, where the people who make the wealth in the public sector and the private sector actually have control and indeed ownership of that wealth, where accountability through democratic control of society is a real concept and not a concept that politicians talk about every 5 years when they're looking for your vote. We need in Britain today to change root and branch the way that society is organised. Spelt out in one word, that equals socialism.